You're the yacht designer. Why are you talking about cars? Well, there are a couple of reasons. First of all, I find cars still fascinating, and as a teenager and even as a student, I actually wanted to become a car designer, and well, I drifted into the yachting world. Never looked back, but yeah, I still love cars, from the design to various other reasons. I also hate them when I walk through the city, and different story. Secondly, I'm a industrial designer, so in a way, you know, everything is fair game, and things that I know about design can be transferred to various categories. And third, I don't know, forgot about third. No, third is it's a very good example of what I want to explain that I mentioned yesterday about ownership versus subscription, if it is in the shape of I don't know, car sharing, or you know well, I think everything that I might mention would probably apply to self-driving cars, self-driving taxis to some extent, although let's just leave them out. Let's just compare the subscription or the non-owned idea versus the owned idea. And I think well, I don't know, I starting of course from my observations, and probably also my informed opinions, and well, I come to the conclusion less ownership means uglier cars, because when you don't own the car, you are really focusing on receiving the service, and to some extent you don't care what the car looks like. Certainly, when I rent a car, when I go on holidays, I want a nice car, but it's gonna be a average Citroen, Peugeot, Volkswagen. You don't know the difference. Has a nice dashboard, drives well, has space for me and the family. Tick. Would I spend actually more money to have a nicer car? A pretty car? No, not really. Not really. I mean, other people do probably, because the car rental companies also offer, the Mercedes, BMWs, or if you want a Porsche. But, well, first of all, maybe, I should actually look up the numbers and see how many people are actually doing that. I do know, well, at least it's advertised that, rent a car for a day to, in your hometown, because your own car is a practical, whatever, family mover, and you have a weekend on your own, and then you rent the BMW convertible to zoom around the mountain roads. Again, how likely is it? Well, there must be a market, obviously, because people are offering it. But in general, I would say that most people are like me and just go for, the, I wouldn't say cheapest, but for the reasonably priced option. Which means if we all move away from the car ownership to the service receiver, we are more likely to end up with, the cars that just serve the purpose. And yes, people that buy cars also make decisions, reasonable decisions, let's say. It's not everybody is like me and say, oh, I'd rather drive an Alfa Romeo or a Maserati than and a used one for that matter, rather than buying a brand new Hyundai, whatever. Nothing against Hyundai. I think they might be up for something. Car design is pretty much on the move, but let's not talk about you know, whether I like the current design trends or not, because that's a different thing. It's just the idea that actually if you don't own it, you are more likely to not care so much for the design, not care so much even for the thing itself. So unless, you know, there are horrendous fees for giving it back dirty, you probably give it back dirty. If you will certainly not wash and polish it, put it that way. I mean, you just try to be reasonable. And yeah, I think it kind of makes, if you turn something from a thing that you care into a disposable service, it comes with a lot of downsides. I mean, it also comes up, it has advantages, of course, you know, from costs to the idea that there should be, in theory, at least less cars, because the cars that are there are the ones that are in use versus, you know, the ones that are owned and used less because they can only be used by the owner. So there are definitely merits of the sharing or, you know, renting or subscribing idea, but there are also downsides, and I think in terms of sustainability there are question marks, simply because we don't attach. I mean, don't get me started on the idea versus, you know, a car has a soul or a personality, and if it is a he or a she, I mean, that's it's an it. It still is. I mean, versus the yachts that are always female, but that's maybe I'll talk about that another day. Yeah, I think yeah, we need to kind of attach, not just to, you know, other people or to nature, or we also need to attach to things to a certain degree in order to care. And I think caring about things is actually more important than you would think. Well, I think it is more important because it actually means if you're attached, you take care. And, you know, if you start taking, if you're attached to a thing, maybe you learn then, you know, more about being attached to, you know, the world around you. Just a thought. Let me know what you think. I think they're down there. There's not just the like and the subscribe buttons that I sometimes mention. There's also the comments. Feel free to comment. I would love to hear from you. But I know you always stay silent. Don't be shy. Talk with me. I'll see you next time.